If they told you he blew up Kid Cudi's car back in 2010, you would have said, that's ridiculous. This guy's a billionaire. Who would actually threaten their livelihood as a billionaire to break in someone's house with a gun and then blow up his house with some type of firebomb? Wouldn't you say that, Vlad? Be honest. It would sound ridiculous.
Yeah, no, listen.
And now when we see the videos and pictures, we're like, wow, he did that.
Your point of this, and look, and then it kind of came out later on that Diddy was a drug addict. Right? And this is some druggy behavior. Right? This is what drug addicts do. You've never seen someone do something stupid on drugs? I have.
Well, and let me tell you.
Car on fire?
From my knowledge,
versions of this.
From my knowledge in the entire entertainment industry, everyone has their, vice or their drug of choice or whatever.
Right.
But I think the biggest drug overall is power, and absolute power corrupts. And the point is this: when you look at Roc Nation and Jay-Z, it doesn't. I don't think I would call someone stupid or foolish if they said this, right? Let me just make if someone said, or let's say a Drake fan says, "Hey, I think that Jay-Z may have wanted to, add a little bit flame to the fire of Kendrick Lamar, and he made Kendrick perform that, the biggest song that was dissing the biggest rapper at the time, that, just legacy-wise, his legacy is being compared to this guy. He gave the guy the platform that he could try to bring the other guy down. Would that be so far-fetched to even come up with that? Granted, we don't have full proof.
I think that people do a lot of legal stuff to move their influence around and so forth. I've done it. You've done it. At the end of the day, I've had situations where people come to me and said, "Hey, we want to interview this guy that doesn't like you."
The problem is we're not that powerful, Vlad.
And they're like, "All right, cool. Yeah, fuck that guy then." I'm trying to maintain a relationship with you. I mean, I've told lots of times that Boosie called me and said, "Can you please stop interviewing Charleston White?" And I said, right,
and
cool.
by you admitting that,
I did it. And me and Charleston ran into each other. You were right there when it happened. At the Aiden Ross fight. I walked up to him. We talked about it. I'm like, "Yo, bro, I don't have anything against you, but this whole thing about talking about kids and all that is really not cool." And he's like, "Nah, I know, but it's just words." And me and him talk. I don't have any hatred towards him, but Boosie pulled that card, and he used his influence, and based on our relationship, he pulled that off. You haven't seen the Charleston interview since then.
Hey, and right? I agree with you that these things happen. And
this is normal. This is normal.
And my thing is this, and I've always said, hey, listen, it's a reason. If I ran the Spotify, with great power, you need to have great scrutiny, right? So I always said, listen, if I ran Spotify Rap Caviar, you'd never see a Freddie Gibbs song on there to say none of the niggas I like would ever be up there, period. You get what I'm saying? So, the people that do run it, you have to kind of scrutinize, because here's the thing. Yes, fine. You don't like someone, you don't platform. And I don't like someone, I don't platform. The max I could do is, all right, little baby, you about to go through a tough PR look for the next 18 months. Good luck, right? But that's about it. If I ran the label he's on, I would make sure he's in Sri Lanka performing for monkeys. That's it. You'd be out of here. So again, it's different levels of power. And what I'm saying is that Roc Nation is what we've seen, and we're constantly hearing their name connected to stuff, not just the Tory stuff, but just so much more. That's why I can't look at what Nicki's saying and say, "Hey, you're just a kook," right? On this particular thing where she has seemingly an axe to grind with Jay-Z and Roc Nation and some of the things she's bringing up, and then I see these other things that are happening. I'm like, okay, we should probably look at it now before it's too late, and we're sitting back to say, how did Diddy get away with this for this long? And most would argue that when it comes to Jay-Z, he's infinitely more powerful than Diddy was ever at Diddy's height. Because at Diddy's height, he was still that one-man show that was just running around with vodka, right? When you think about Jay-Z, he used everybody, he got Tidal, and then basically he sells Tidal to Square. He's now on the board of Square. You're seeing him walk around with Jack Dorsey, the guy who was the original founder of Twitter, and they're like best friends on vacation now. They own Cash App. Basically, once you start to see he's with Harvey Weinstein, it's probably not that out of the realm of the possibility that Jay-Z's power may allow for some of these things to happen. We're not saying it did happen, but a good investigation or questioning on whether it happened or not, or his association, I think is warranted. But, just to wrap this up, because I know I've had you on for a while, but you're just being facetious. You're being facetious, right?
Yeah, I'm being facetious, man. At the end of the day, Jay-Z does have a lot of power in the business world, and he does have a lot of relationships. At the end of the day, if Jay-Z called me, I would have that phone call. Right, I would take that call if he wanted to have a meeting. I would take
I'd
that
have it
meeting.
too.
I would seriously listen to what he had to say. You know, I don't always take meetings. I remember when we had like a long time ago when the Cassie nude pics had leaked, and we posted them right away. Right, I mean, in retrospect, I wouldn't do that today, but back in the day, yeah, we posted it. And I remember my man Sean Perez called me. He was like, "Yo, Diddy wants to talk to you," and I'm like, "Nope." He's like, "You don't want to talk to Diddy?" I'm like, "No, I know what this is about. I'm not going to sit there and get yelled at by Diddy, because then I'm going to start yelling back, and the next thing you know, there's going to be a shouting match over the phone, and, you know, whatever. I'm not taking the pics down. I'm not talking to Diddy." And eventually, you know, he contacted Steve Rifkin, who owned SRC Records, and we were based in his office at the time. And Steve Rifkin was like, "Yo, Diddy just yelled at me about these pictures. Can you please take them down?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, I have to listen to," and so forth. So you see these types of maneuvers and so forth that's done in the business world with powerful people contacting other powerful people, and sooner or later people get in line and so forth. But that's very different than buying off a judge. It's not the same thing as buying off jurors. It's not the same thing as murder for hire. It's not the same thing as, you know, bribing doctors and everything else like that. These are all felonies, right? Diddy was not going to catch a felony over getting some pictures taken down, and I was not going to catch a felony over telling him no.
That's the difference between Diddy and Jay. Listen, the point of when I brought up initially, I said, listen, in 2018, there's this group, it's called QAnon. They came up with this idea that there were people who were operating above the law, and they were doing weird things. And people said these are the far-right lunatics who are kooks. And then later on, when the Epstein files are released, they're like, damn, how did these guys know? The thing is, you're assuming that that if someone gets to the level of power that has an organization like Roc Nation that is in bed with all the other billionaires, that they're above doing something that could be potentially criminal, or at least skating lines that you and me know if you get caught doing, you're getting locked up. Well, I'm wondering why it seemed like 100 billionaires that allegedly is mentioned in this Epstein file. Why did they do it? If Jay-Z's above doing this, why did the 100 billionaires do that?
Listen, for example, there's a movie that's out right now. It's like this guy hooks up with this like musical superstar, and he's working with him, and then, you know, the music guy kicks him out. You know, so he went and he goes and records him and finds a video of him with some underage girls, and then basically blackmails him to stay in the organization, right? And if there was a situation where, let's just say there is a video of Jay-Z with an underage girl, and Jay knows that if this comes out, he's going to end up in a Bill Cosby situation. And listen, it might be time to kill somebody. It might be time to pay off some judges. It might be time to buy some jurors. It might be time to slip some money to some doctors and so forth. I get it. Megan Thee Stallion accounts for less than 1% of Jay-Z's wealth. And I think I'm being generous by saying that. I don't think that Jay cares about Megan Thee Stallion to the point of putting his neck on the line and doing a felony. Sorry. Megan Thee Stallion. What happens if you take all of the Megan Thee Stallion money out of Jay-Z's bank accounts? Do you think that his lifestyle changes on any level whatsoever?
No, I don't.
No. Megan Thee Stallion is so unimportant in the grand scheme of Jay-Z's life that he is not going to do anything crazy around this.
You're being dead.
And I'm sure with Desiree Perez, if you look at her entire wealth and you take Megan Thee Stallion out of the equation, I don't think it changes anything. Anything. That's like me telling you, listen, you're about to lose $1,000 unless you do a felony. What are you going to tell me? Man, fuck that $1,000. I'm not even thinking about this. This is the equivalent, man. And people just got to wake up and actually look at reality and question, you know, their own thirst for conspiracy theories. And I proved my point, man. This tweet is over 10 million views already on my own Twitter. And a lot of people are saying, thank you, Vlad. You know, so some of the funniest DMs I get, though, is like, hey, man, since you're not going to be around much longer, can you pay off my debt? I got like $20,000. I've got those types of DMs.
Hey, but by the way, just to kind of give you, and again, just, respond to what you just said. I think the same could be said, and these not even billionaires. I think their net worth was like reported like 100 million. There's someone, Lori Lawlin, and I forgot the other guy's name. They were they were indicted for this college scheme where they basically paid like them and a bunch of other people paid like $25 million to colleges that their kids could get in. And
the whole USC thing and all that. Yeah,
and I think someone, before we get the proof that they did that, I'm pretty sure someone would say, why would somebody be up $100 million, pay millions to get their kid in to get their kid
into a sports program, and in turn getting him into a top school. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Listen, I went to a top school. I went to UC Berkeley. Like, I want my kids to go to a top school. But
but people might be like, yo, you're above doing crime to get your kids in college when you have all the money that they don't need college.
Yeah, but I think it's a little different to get your kid into some non-popular sports program and have it fly below the radar. And this has been going on for decades and no one's ever gotten caught. And at the end of the day, like, no one cares about the rowing team at USC, and there's never any scrutiny. And okay, cool, my kid will be a top rower. I'll throw a little bit of money to the coach and everyone, whatever. That's different than murder for hire. That's different than buying off a judge.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that all those college moms would not do none of that. What they were doing seemed very below the radar and innocent. And I mean, listen, one of them went to jail for it, so I get it. It is a crime. I get it, but I think they looked at it as like, okay,
Vlad, the majority of what Roc Nation is accused of seems innocent and below the radar. Like, they're not like they're not Lil Durk, like, yo, don't book no credit cards on my thing while they murder their op. Like there's Matt. I talk crazy about Roc Nation all the time. Like, again, there's a couple weird trucks that pop up. Don't know if it's them, but like, I haven't came on here and said, yo, I had an attempt on my life. Like, they're not that stupid. But
that's what I made fun of in the tweet. I said that there was an attempt on Tory's life, and you know who paid for it? Nah, bro, there's a story behind that. Tory was trying to talk to this guy's girlfriend. Yo, listen, if I have life in prison, and I managed to somehow, and I'm a pedophile doing life in prison, and I somehow finagled the system to find a girlfriend on the outside. And now this R&B superstar shows up, and now she's potentially not going to rock with me anymore because of him. I can see why I'd want to kill Tory. I get it. I've already killed someone already. What, are they going to give me double life? I'm already here. Not that much of a penalty. Doesn't that make a lot more sense than Jay-Z paying for that hit? Doesn't it?
Hold on.
Doesn't it?
I never said that Jay-Z actually paid for it. Right. What I'm saying is that I do think if we're going with patterns of what we've seen, that Roc Nation, and again, maybe not Jay-Z himself, but the company that Jay-Z owns, Roc Nation, has a heavy incentive to make Meg look like a victim. It's on the individual.
A heavy incentive? Not a heavy incentive. I don't agree. I don't agree. Megan is not a big money maker for Roc Nation. Sorry.
No. I would think a heavy.
No, there's not a heavy incentive. Some incentive, but not a heavy incentive.
Okay, well, depending on what you call.
No, wait. There's a heavy incentive to make the NFL deal work.
Okay,
I get that.
All right. Well, here's the thing.
It's a heavy incentive situation.
Okay.
Megan Thee Stallion is not.
Well, here's the thing. So the deal that they got with the NFL was 5 years for $5 million. Yes, it's tremendous power. We get that. Hold on. Wait. Let me make this point.
It doesn't matter. It's
I know. But let me make this point.
Tremendous amount of legacy on top of that. I don't think Jay-Z's legacy has anything to do with Megan Thee Stallion.
But let me make this point. It's reported and speculated that they at least spent like maybe $2 to $3 million on a civil suit just to silence people who's speaking against her. I think that's heavy enough. If you're down to spend millions of dollars, are you down to spend millions of dollars for if you don't have a heavy incentive? Or you're saying Jay-Z just that
Are they
rich?
spending it? No, wait. Well, you're making assumptions here. Did they spend the money, or did Megan personally spend the money? Because Megan has the type of money to pay for these types of lawyers, as you and I do.
Vlad,
right?
I'm literally telling you that I'm in the deposition with them, that I've spoken to a lawyer that you give credit to all the time. I've consulted him about them trying to get a second deposition. They reviewed the first one and they said, hey, listen, based on all the people I want to call, this deposition, at least they know what Quinn Emanuel books and rates for an attorney per hour. That's at least $100,000 just for my deposition. This is a top lawyer in the land saying it that you have respect for. They have spent millions of dollars and they got a judgment of $59,000. Is that now? I know you want to say that's just Meg wasted money, but in that same deposition, I have the footage. I will make sure when we sit down, I want you to watch it for yourself, that you could say, why are they in real time say, send this to the CEO of Roc Nation instead of the person who you think seemingly would be paying for it, which is Meg the Stallion.
But she is business connected to the CEO of Roc Nation. Like, this is not a stretch.
So you don't think?
If
so you don't think they have a financial incentive then? So there is a financial incentive. So you're agreeing?
I think there is, but there's not a financial incentive to the point where you're going to risk your freedom over it.
No, I didn't say they risk their freedom over it. What I'm saying is that they are interested in Meg looking like a victim. Now, whatever means they take, and you know, again, there's so much to go down the weeds with this. If you look into the case with that same CEO we're talking about, right? That's the one who eventually cooperated against the cartel back when her boyfriend at the time was like selling drugs. Then she became the CEO of Roc Nation later. She has a current case versus her own daughter. Her own daughter is echoing everything I'm saying. So here's the thing. Okay, maybe Nicki Minaj is a complete kook. I bet. Maybe the girlfriend of Colin Kaepernick, she's just out there. She's salty because her guy sucks at quarterback.
Yeah,
okay, maybe Akademiks
has a reason.
Well, maybe Akademiks, he's just reading too much into it, and when he sees in a deposition that's legal, where he's under oath, where he knows he can't lie, he sees the lawyer say, "Send this to the Roc Nation." It's just completely coincidence. But what about the daughter of the same person? It's not a
coincidence. There's an established business relationship between Megan and Desiree. It's not there's no coincidence here.
Okay, so we've established that the business of Roc Nation is also.
You don't think, for example, when Snoop Dogg was on trial for murder, you don't think that there was messages passed on to Suge Knight over what was happening? Because Suge and to Dr. Dre, who both were co-owners of the label, of course, they have an artist. You want to know what's happening legally with the artist. It's not a stretch here. It's totally normal.
No, and I agree with you. But if you then said to me, do you think that Death Row helped pay for Tupac's legal case without us knowing that, I would probably say yes.
I'm talking about Snoop. No, absolutely. No.
But it's in any situation. Atlantic Records, when it came to T.I., they put up money for bail. When it came for Kentrell Golden, his first case that he called at 16 or it was 17 when his man got shot in the neck when they went to do a drive-by, they put up $1 million in surety. When it comes to Young Thug, so the point that where you're saying that, oh, this is just Meg and not Roc Nation, like, come on, you're being way too naive. This is both of them. I will give you that, and I think that's a valid point. Did Roc Nation possibly supplement or pay for the lawsuit? Possibly. And probably use whatever influence or whatever they could, maybe legal or not.
I don't think it accomplished anything in the grand scheme of things. It probably scares certain people about saying certain things, but the reality is that, like, silencing one or two people in the media in 2026 makes zero impact, right? Like, for example, like the fact that Charlemagne won't speak out against Jay-Z, do you think that really matters at all?
Yeah,
no,
it does.
It doesn't.
It does. He just got paid $200 million. Of course it matters. He's one of the biggest voices. Yes, it matters. What?
I think that
you think? I see that. You know who speaks out about Jay-Z? Is a bunch of YouTubers that get 500 views. Yes, the guy who's on the biggest radio show, who, according to pay, he's the biggest in media. If he won't say nothing, it matters. If Joe Rogan won't speak about how atrocious the Epstein files look and how much the government might be still hiding, yes, it matters. Definitely matters.
I think that it matters to the extent of this. Let's just say that Jay was caught with an underage girl, right? Not to say there's any truth in this. And Charlemagne doesn't say anything. Do you think that matters at all? There'll be such a huge tidal wave of voices from every part of the world that it doesn't matter whether Charlemagne says it or not. It doesn't matter. Does it matter that Charleston White doesn't go on Vlad TV anymore? No, Charleston is still doing fine. He's still making money. He still has fans, whatever else. He might even have more fans because I didn't put him on. Like, who knows? Like, it doesn't
The
really
argument
matter.
isn't if Charlemagne speaks about it or not. The argument is, are people valid or stupid for either believing that certain things maybe need more conversation? Like, this is what I say. And I'm a guy, I like Trump. I told you this. I like Trump on his first joint and the second joint. I'm always honest. His name was up in the Epstein files. I think he should get investigated too. I think he should get investigated. I think Jay-Z should get investigated. I don't even think Pusha was really on nothing, but investigate him too. That's my thing. There's nobody above it. So when it comes to like Jay, I'm saying there is a little bit too much where we are like, yo, this guy, and I don't think it's just a bunch of losers who probably are jealous that he's the winner in all of this because he's a billionaire. I think people kind of know that, hey, maybe this motherfucker got away with some shit. And the way we get to the point with Epstein is asking questions. Remember, it's only a couple months ago, the same Department of Justice said to us, they ain't no files. So the people were asking questions. They look like idiots. There's no files. We gave it to you all already. You've seen it all. Couple months later, 3 million files. Who was right? It just depends on what we know at what time. I'm saying, this is my motto of today's stream. Trust your gut. Hey, listen, I'm not disputing certain things. Was Tory convicted? Yes. Was Tory appeal denied? Yes. Is there actual fact that and proof that we know at this time that the judge paid off? No. Did that bodyguard that is now, they're repurposing an old clip, did they see something that night? They weren't there. Did they overhear Kelsey? Perhaps. I don't know. But trust your gut. Take everything you know. Take the initial statements. Meg lies, doesn't tell the truth, supposedly tries to protect, gets mad. She then wants to tell the truth. Her company, Roc Nation, approaches the DA. They then get this indictment going on. We see other things through the media. Kelsey's backflipping, sidestepping. We don't know. And whatever you think from that, and that's the thing I've always defended people who flat out believe. I always believe that Meg was shot. Some people believe there was no shot.
No, she was shot.
I believe she was shot, but for the people who do believe that she never got shot, I kind of understand because there's a million different stories that at some point you might be like, you know what? I'm going to hop off of this, misinformation or misdirection train at this point because we're getting told one thing today, and then the next day we get told another thing. Again, that's how.
And listen, there's a real argument for people saying she didn't really get shot because she herself said that she didn't get shot.
Bingo.
Right. So there you go. Like, if you don't want to argue that part, then cool, we can argue it. And I'll give people like a real.
There we go.
But ultimately, the doctor came forward. But listen, she did say she didn't get shot, so there's a little bit of a gray area there. I totally get it. But the reality is, man, is that Tory put himself in this situation and he antagonized her, and it doesn't like at the end of the day, he could have avoided all this.
Okay, you're right. Hey.
He could have avoided all this. His ego was out of control, and he felt that the internet speaking on his behalf matters in a court of law. And we saw that it doesn't. Those jurors did not care what the internet had to say. Because the internet, every poll I did, found Tory not guilty. Every poll that I did on my own Twitter account with tens of thousands of votes,
found him not guilty.
All said that Tory's going to be, let out. Tory even had a tweet, before. He's like, I'm going to show y'all how powerful my God is. You will stand at my feet and see the truth. And then the day later, he was found guilty. So, it's one of those things, bro. It's one of those things. And I hope, based on what Tory's been through, I think that based on the level of violence that he committed, on Meghan, I feel that he has served his debt to society. He has been in prison now for a number of years. He's gotten stabbed up way worse than she was hurt. If you told me right now that Tory's going to come home, I'll say, I'm glad he's coming home. He has served his debt to society.
So you're saying you're not against maybe a commutation of his sentence?
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that, man. Like Tory People think I have something against Tory. I do not on any level.
Well, the tweet comes across as, "Hey, listen, this is a heinous guy who's made excuse after excuse to not take accountability of shooting his woman, and he deserves jail." So your tweet doesn't say, "Hey, listen, justice was served, but this guy is getting a unfair shake. He's locked up, high profile. He's getting stabbed up. He's probably, at this point, given the fact he's been locked up a few years, he should probably get out." That's not how the tweet read. The tweet read, "Keep this motherfucker locked." Jay and them.
No. The tweet read is he's locked up for a reason, and it's not because of Jay-Z. Right? That's how the tweet actually reads. And listen, Sneeko called me first, and the first thing I said on Sneeko's live is exactly what I'm telling you. This whole thing is ridiculous. I still feel the same way I feel, but at the end of the day, Tory getting let out now, I think, is be more than fair. And I'm actually surprised that Megan doesn't feel the same way at this point. Like, look, okay, you shot me in the foot, but you got stabbed the fuck up. You almost died. Megan never almost died. She was twerking like a week later. So at the end of the day, man, like, I hope everything works out. I hope that people see both sides of it, and I hope that some people realize, something. Vlad just showed me that I was kind of stupid this whole time. I really hope some people feel that way.
Well, do you also, or could you process maybe a possible belief that,
hey, yo, you're locked in with Waking Up TV?
Because this is one of the conspiracy theory, right? Hey, your label is so... By the way, there's been many cases for many different rappers, right? We don't see their label this much involved, even if they have a financial incentive. But perhaps, like, for example, Alamo is the label that signs Lil Durk. Now, granted, maybe you could compare Durk and Meg Thee Stallion as a proportionate type of artist, but if you look at Alamo's roster compared to 300 roster, which is Meg's label, Durk is by far the biggest, him and Rod Wave. They're the biggest artist that has kept that label afloat. They're not in court supporting him, and even if they've had another artist that was a victim, they're not in court.
Well, hold on a second. Durk is not the victim.
Okay, well, they've had other artists that have been victims on major labels where they're not that incentivized. Here's the theory that I'm floating. Is it possible that this was probably seen on a business level by the label that was going to, at that time, she was only managed by them. They were looking to sign her away from 1501. Is it possible that they felt that, fuck, even if it really happened, of course, they're probably going to believe her, this is a perfect, firestorm for you to end up and get what Rihanna got in terms of sympathy, and not saying Rihanna's not an amazing, talented artist, but that sympathy universally made Rihanna kind of go to another level in people saying, hey, listen, we have to protect this woman. She got abused by another famous entertainer, and maybe they were looking at possible that angle to say, we're going to lean into this, get a guilty verdict. Now she's a victim. She could now, we see the tears, we see this and third. They put out a documentary about it, and they're hoping to curry the favor of people to say this is a victim. However, it's not worked. So the work is not done until she's a full victim.
Yeah, listen, I get it, and that sounds plausible to me. You're trying to get this client, you're trying to get this artist away from this other independent label. You're already managing them. She ultimately did leave, right? She broke the deal with 1500 and went over there and so forth, and I get it. But if you then say, and then they paid off the judge in order to do that, just to get this artist on their label. Then they paid off jury members in order to do that. Like,
this
is
only
no. All the other shit never happened. Did they try to cozy up to her? Sure. Well, of course. If you see a business opportunity, and listen, ultimately she did not become the next Rihanna. So it didn't really work out that way, did it?
Vlad, my whole point is we got to separate some. There's actual kooks out there, right? And people that go too far. It's like saying, yo, it's some Muslims that crash into the World Trade Center. Man, all y'all Muslim niggas is doing. No, there's a few people that's out there. You're right, but the majority of people are normal and sane, and maybe they have questions if there's any association with the judge. Like, for example, they have questions about Tory's former attorney, which is Sean Holly, who, after she stopped working for Tory, she went on to produce a documentary, or actually a multi-part series, which she named every episode after Jay-Z songs. And people are like, well, that's interesting. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe it's a coincidence there too. She's defended Tory.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that whole situation. Remember, she stepped away from the case before it went to trial.
Yes.
Right? Because what obviously happened, well, not obviously, but what I think probably happened was that she told him he's not going to win. Mm-hmm. And she told him that she's not going to represent him and lie in court and so forth, and told him certain things that he did not want to hear. So clearly, the fact that he had to scramble and find a whole new lawyer right before trial.
Let's represent that a little bit more fairly. So her main thing, and I read the letters, and by the way, we've seen Megan Cunningham publish them. I guess they have some relationship. Which, by the way, I'm actually concerned that how those emails were put out, given the fact there should be attorney-client privilege. But, you know, that's a story for another day. Here's the point. When reading those emails, her main point of discussion was that she advised Tory against the main strategy of what should go forward. And to what you said, and you have said on many podcasts, that Tory should take the stand, Tory wanted to take the stand. She told Tory, I cannot be your attorney if that's what you're going to do, because we've tried a mock interrogation or you taking a stand, and I'm not comfortable with that defense. So that's the majority of the issue. She claims that, according to her, that the trial strategy were not incongruent. Tory was down to get up there and speak for himself, and she felt that's not the case, and also pushing blame on other people was not the case as well. So they disagreed on trial strategy. Not that because you made it sound like Tory just, she wasn't down to lie with Tory. No, this is trial strategy.
No, listen. Yeah, I mean, you're right. So your explanation makes perfect sense, and I get it. So clearly there was a falling out, so the two of them are not cool anymore. So if she's kind of like a fuck you too, Tory, you don't know what this kind of shit that Tory said behind closed doors to her and so forth. Ultimately, he got to the lawyer and ended up not taking the stand anyways. Right? So
you're right.
Using
but
the
again,
strategy regardless.
Going back to coincidences, is it coincidental that the lawyer who quits over trial strategy does a documentary and names every episode after the guy who heads up the company that is representing the artist, and that CEO is in court? Is it coincidence?
I think it's petty. I think that's what it is. I think it's a level of pettiness that I can respect, that 50 Cent can respect, and to the whole petty community that I feel I am one of the leaders of. I respect that petty move right there. That's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers right there. That's petty wop. I think that's what that is. Do you think that somehow Jay paid her to lead Tory down the wrong lane, and she's nodding back to him by naming those chapters after songs of his? Like, that's a stretch. That's a stretch.
Well, do you want to know what I really think?
What do you really think?
So, if for anyone who does a series, especially you're still doing series built for linear TV, even though I think this was going to be on a streamer, which is Netflix, Peacock, or one of those, you're doing deals far out, right? You're not just getting a deal done in a week, producing and putting the stuff out immediately. I believe that, this was a possible source of conflict of interest that by the way, Tory did try to state in his, in his appeal, which, yes, that was rejected, but I do think is valid. If my lawyer, whether being petty or not, was maybe behind the scenes having a business deal done or being negotiated with a company that represents the person I'm going to criminal trial with, I think that could put them in a very interesting place. Hey, if you go forward with this, so you never know. Maybe the lawyer is like, hey, listen, we have a slight disagreement, but we've seen cases where the legal team, and we heard it with Mark Agnifilo. He said, me and Diddy disagreed with the trial strategy. They stayed as his lawyer. So maybe that was the reason that Sean Holly said, you know what? I got a better opportunity over here. We're not in full agreement here. Hey, right now we're at the last steps before trial. Fuck it. I'm hopping off this train for my own personal benefit. Who knows? Who cares about a Sean Holly documentary or whatever the case is?
Yeah,
but Jay-Z and them could be like, hey, if we could fuck up his legal strategy by giving her some deal she can't refuse that has nothing to do with law, yes, that's tactics. That's the invisible hand. But it might be. I think Vlad's looking at it like, yo, bro, you're Alex Jones.
I mean, there's a lot of conclusions you're jumping to get to that finish line. And listen, at the end of the day, if it's ever proven, that'd be interesting. And then I would say, wow, there really was some real manipulation happening by Jay-Z. If he really got her, Tory's lawyer off the case last minute like that by offering her a TV deal of some sort.
By the way,
shit. All right, I get it.
The TV show was on Hulu, real. And it was called, the entire thing was called Reasonable Doubt, and every episode was named after a Jay-Z song.
Yeah, man. Listen, and I like if that comes out later on, and they find emails and they find wire transfers and whatever else or Bitcoin, because one of the things I said was like I started playing around in the comments, right, in the replies, and they're like, how much did you get paid? I got paid $10K, then $50K during the trial. They paid me Bitcoin so they couldn't trace it. I was like, you can trace Bitcoin. I was like, yeah, I guess you can. I don't know. I don't own any. I'm just making all this stuff along the way. So, people could, have you ever heard of the term cognitive dissonance?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cognitive dissonance, for people that don't know, when you have an idea and you're absolutely sure about it, and then something comes along to disprove your idea, cognitive dissonance means that you excuse that one thing and work your other answers around it.
I've accused people who believe in numerology of that, because they'll pick and choose with the numbers to go with whatever narrative. Again, I'd agree with you a little bit on that with cognitive dissonance.
Yeah,
except
people want to believe this Jay-Z mafia thing so badly that when I came forward and I put this out, they were like, oh my God, finally, all my questions have been answered.
I know.
Right?
I know.
And listen, I've had people that, people like Tory call me up and he's upset. He's like, yo, what you're doing isn't sarcasm. You didn't put the wink at the end, whatever. I'm like, no, it is sarcasm. You're going to tell me how comedy's going to be laid out. This is my version of comedy. I interview comedians. I have a comedic bent to what I do. And this is my version of comedy right here. And to me, the comedy part was people's responses. And there's literally like 100,000 responses based to my tweet or, across all the different platforms. So, this is my thing. And I get it. Some people are not going to get it. Roc Nation has not contacted me. They don't care. They would have contacted me by now if this was the problem.
They care, but you've done their bidding.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you've done, this is something I think they would have paid me $250,000 to do, right? I'm serious.
Damn it, man! I could have got paid for this.
No, I'm serious.
Rock, I'll do another one for you.
I think they would have done that.
I'll do it for 100.
I think they would have done that for me to say, hey, this is all a joke, and all you guys who believe that you're idiots, I only put this up to call you idiots. Because what this happens is now, by the way, there's no actual serious outlets running this as some serious shit. They're saying he jokingly does this, he made fun of this. And this is why.
But every outlet has run this, bro. Like, this is everywhere.
Yeah, but again,
everywhere, which really surprises me. I'm like, I honestly, when I wrote that, I thought, this will get like maybe, I don't know, 20, 30K impressions and people go on with their day. I did not think this was going to happen.
If I don't know, if some of the intellectual minds who, number one, they're concerned about misinformation and they're concerned about potential, again, maybe the people you're really trying to intend to confuse or, play up to, which are the stupid people, if they said, hey, listen, okay, the joke is over, would you delete it, that it's not still confused? I'm not gonna lie to you, there were people that hit me with this. I got woken up on my sleep for your tweet, and that only happens if someone dies. If someone hits the bat signal, someone's dead in hip-hop. And I'm sleeping. It was yesterday. Listen, I'm single and carefree on Valentine's Day. I'm sleeping in my bed alone. I'm sleeping like Patrick the Starfish. I'm just laying there. And I get woken up. And I'm now thinking, well, it's not my dog, so it's not an intruder. You know what I mean? It's not this, so it's not that. And then I look at my phone that's like just jumping all over the place. And I'm like, oh my God, who died? And I grab the phone and it's 17 messages. Have you seen this? Get on live. Hey, what do you know? I won't even, let me tell you this. Hip Hop Police hit me up about this shit. I have a close relationship with them, by the way.
Wait.
Yes.
The NYPD hit you up about this?
Yeah, well, not in an I'm cool with the guys. When I go in town, bro, people are going to think it's some cop shit. No. They monitor everything with, events, and they make sure people are not killing each other. It's too dense in New York. So, I'll let you know, when I go to, Barclays or something, I let hip-hop cops know I'm coming to town, right? Why? That they could relay information back to me to say, hey, just to let you know, Lil Baby, Meek Mill, everybody you don't like is gonna be there. We have credible info on it. If you want to go there and it's gonna be an issue, we're not your security. Good luck. That's kind of how they move. This idea that hip hop cops just set people up. They're usually there to make sure these dudes don't kill each other. If you think about the amount of people that's in New York that could have killed each other. Anyway, one of the guys, they hit me up and they said, is any of this thing true? Now, granted, I'm not sure if I said yes, they'd be like, all right, we're going to look into it. I'm not sure. But yeah, they're intrigued. Everybody's intrigued. What the fuck?
Yeah, man, my phone is blown up more over this than I think damn near anything else. And this isn't even my biggest tweet. My video game tweet is at 25 million. I just checked. But every celebrity I know has hit me up. Literally.
Hey,
everybody.
Could you after watching the Bad Bunny historic performance at the Super Bowl, have you changed your mind? I've heard there's a couple mamacitas that they're into, they love Vlad TV. Have you retracted your harsh statement that Bad Bunny performing at the biggest game was, not the wave? You said that before the game happened. What's your thoughts now?
No, I doubled down.
What?
If you look at my tweets after the Super Bowl, and shout out to Johnny Gill. I was at his house, the Super Bowl party, and him and I agree on this as well because we had a conversation about this afterwards. There was a whole, big room full of people, celebrities, Oscar winners, producers, whatever else. When the show came on, all the Spanish people that were there started to go crazy. They were singing along, they were dancing, they were having the best time ever. Everyone else in that house who didn't speak English quietly watched the show because we didn't know the songs, we didn't understand the words.
Interesting.
Right? And me and him talked afterwards, and I was like, yo, what are your thoughts about this? I've always said this because I agree. It's the lyrics are such an important part of music that you can't just take them out and really expect that, to really convey to people at the highest level. Listen, now you can say, well, what about instrumental music? It's universal. Yes. How often do you see an instrumental song be a top hit? Anyway.
By the way, could I give
How often do you see a foreign language song? Yes, the Macarena came out 20 years ago. Gangnam Style came out 15 years ago. Every 5-10 years, some song will break through, but that's an anomaly. When it comes to music, and I'm a real DJ, I really DJ'd for years, toured around the world, have mixtape awards, everything else like that. To me, the equivalent of listening to a foreign language song is taking a painting and cutting it in half.
Hey, by the way, Vlad, I still think this argument you have is complete bullshit because you use numbers only when it's convenient. You're saying, when's the last time we've seen a song not in Spanish break through? Well, let me give you a few stats, but I guarantee you're going to reject them all because it's not going to support your point. So Kendrick Lamar, has had few number ones ever. That's a fact. He performed at the Super Bowl. Kendrick Lamar, when it comes to streaming within the United States, not outside, he's been lapped by Bad Bunny. Okay, one of the biggest hip hop figures, I think some people would agree until I go on my 18-month run. Lil Baby got outsold. Lil Baby sold 34,000 record first week. In his second week, we had Bad Bunny, who was competing against him, sold 200 in the United States. Metric wise, there's no hip hop artist. There's even the ones that have performed. If you think that Kendrick Lamar deserved to perform, there's no metric that you could point to that would say that just numbers wise that this guy isn't. The only thing is English. Now, again, if you have any retort on the numbers thing, because I was going to go to the reason why I think it did work.
Well, I mean, when you look at the numbers of that particular song, right? Not Like Us. You don't think that was one of the biggest songs of the year in America, numbers wise? That song. Let's take a look at what that song is numbers wise, right? So based on the strength of that one particular song and the overall impact of the song on top of it, but based on if you're just talking about numbers alone, doesn't that song have over 1 billion streams? Let's take a look.
It does. It definitely does across.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So if you're talking about numbers, the numbers, Not Like Us is. Okay, but hold on.
Numbers wise, he doesn't compete.
Not Like Us is at 1.8 billion streams. Right now, granted, some time is over a year has passed since then.
Vlad,
but
you're talking
sure
about one song.
Billion.
You're talking about one song, and literally, Bad Bunny has last year and the year before. Take 3 of his months, and it's more than Kendrick Lamar's whole year. Okay, that's cumulative in the United States.
I get it.
So I get it. You're trying to make it off one song. The point is this, and even with that song, right? Obviously, it matters to us, and this is what I was trying to say. You're being small-minded a bit because we all care about hip hop, right? So if like for example, I'm being a little bit facetious, but I'm like, yo, look at what the players are saying. Look at what the culture is saying. Put YoungBoy up there next. The reality is that the majority of Americans, just by the numbers or just regularly, they don't know who YoungBoy is, or they don't know YoungBoy's songs. Outside of that Kendrick Lamar one song that did phenomenal numbers for that year, Kendrick Lamar was not a top streamed artist like that. I'm talking about his entirety of his catalog outside of
well, I don't know about that because if you actually look at the numbers, all the stars, 2.8 billion, Luther, 1.4 billion. Remember, SZA performed as well.
That all came during that time.
That all came during that time. 2.1 billion.
That all came during that time.
Humble, which was already out for a long time, 2.9 million. Love, 1.8 billion. Swimming Pools, 1.1 billion. Pride, 1.1 billion. He has a ton of songs over 1 billion streams.
And Bad Bunny has more.
The numbers support his performance.
And Bad Bunny has more.
The numbers totally support it, especially in America, especially with an English-speaking audience.
Okay, and Bad Bunny has so Bad Bunny has more. So what I'm saying is that if we're objectively going off numbers, just objectively, right? If we're objectively,
so you're telling me, okay, so what you're telling me is that in America,
so in 2024,
Bad Bunny was streamed more than Kendrick that year in America.
Yes, the beef happened in May 2024. I remember it like is yesterday.
Okay,
so that year the top streamed artist was Taylor Swift, The Weeknd, Bad Bunny, Drake, then Billie Eilish.
Yeah. Okay. I get it.
And in 2025, Bad Bunny was the number one most streamed artist, then Taylor Swift, then The Weeknd, Drake, and Billie Eilish. They all it's the same list for the last 3 years, with the exception of Peso Pluma, who's actually a Mexican artist. Interesting. Yeah. He's in it in 2023, but it's the same artist. Here's the point what I'm trying to make, right? Objectively, numbers wise, Bad Bunny kills this guy. Like, there's no competition between Bad Bunny and Kendrick. Here's when you say the English thing is that it's dependent on if we're saying that there's consumption for it in the United States, it's about if you or me like it and people that we know, right? Because I don't listen to Billie Eilish, but if she's actually picked up there, whether I understand her words or not, I don't know her songs and I don't really like whatever the hell she got going on, most likely. Yeah. So the thing with Kendrick, okay, you're basically saying Kendrick made it off, and if we look at his streams, it was primarily between the songs that came out during the beef, and yes, he has some duets. Outside of that, he's not streamed that much, so they put a guy on the Super Bowl for one song during a moment. So now you're saying that guy is more valid than a guy who's crushing it for the entire year. For the last, since 2020, I just want to give you the stat. Since 2020, 3 out of 5 years, he's been the top 5 most streamed artist. Taylor Swift has been the other 2. It's Bad Bunny and Taylor Swift. By the way, every day this year, every single day, Bad Bunny is the most streamed artist on Spotify, with the exception of a few days, and those days only went to Taylor Swift. It's a 1-2 show. If you can't get Taylor Swift and you want the biggest, you got to go with Bad Bunny. Now,
all right. So hold on. I just looked it up while I was talking to you. I did some chat GPTs and I kind of focused on the U.S. So in 2024, Bad Bunny was streamed between 4.7 and 5.2 billion. Kendrick was streamed between 4.1 and 4.6. It's really close. The two of them had similar streaming numbers that year. In the U.S. only. Now, globally, it's a whole different story. In the U.S. only, they were very similar in streams.
Okay, perfect. Now you get to the argument that I want to have. Do you think the Super Bowl is meant to be a U.S. Catering event, or is it a global catering event? What would you think? Because
I think that the reality is that it's a U.S. catered event, but the aspiration is for it to be a global event. And this is why they chose Bad Bunny that year, this year.
Absolutely not. I think the opposite. I think they've been trying to get to international markets. They've flaunted
They've
the
been
idea.
trying. No. But primarily right now, it's still a U.S. event. They want it to be more global.
I'm
but
not
right
saying
now,
that's primarily, but what I'm saying the goals of the NFL. The goals of the NFL is
the goal is definitely global, 100%.
They have
100%.
games
they
almost
want
every
it to be
week.
bigger than soccer. Yeah, they want it to be the next, soccer. I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is why they did that. And, ultimately it makes sense business-wise for what they do in it. I mean, and does Bad Bunny deserve to be on that stage? 100%. Am I happy that he got on that stage? 100%. Mm-hmm. Did I watch the show and did not enjoy it because I don't speak English, and watched a whole bunch of other people that don't speak English have the same reaction? Yes. And that was my point. I feel that right now, it should have been an artist that catered to the actual primary audience, which is English speaking, and it should have been in English. And that's my point. And people can disagree with you.
So let me ask you a question. When Kendrick Lamar hops up on the Super Bowl platform and he's performing a song based on a diss, which is a diss song to one guy that, yes, culturally and the entire hip hop is clued in, you think that someone who's a Zach Bryan fan, who's from Oklahoma or maybe Nashville, Tennessee, you think they know what the hell's going on? So again, the point is you can't
but here's the thing. Whether they know what's going on or not, whether they're a fan of the song, can sing along or not, is one thing. But to actually listen to the show and understand the lyrics, I think that's a big deal, as opposed to, basically expose, basically listening to a bunch of gibberish because you don't understand the language. There are some hot rappers out of China, out of Russia, or,
you
out
think
of Japan,
during the Super Bowl,
right?
where they advertise the most amount of beer, alcohol, and other, mind-altering substances, they're thinking about, I hope y'all get the lyrics? Because this is my next argument. My next argument was going to be this. I think of all the Super Bowls, obviously the Dr. Dre and that conglomerate, but also Shakira and was it J-Lo or Shakira?
J-Lo, yeah, J-Lo and Shakira. Yeah.
I think what this Super Bowl checked the box off was that it felt intimate. It was full of vibes. Yes, I get it. There was not many songs you could sing, line for line, but it's like feel-good music that you might not know. Have you ever gone to like an event where maybe you don't know all the songs, but it's just feel-good music? Right, and that's what happens when you go outside your comfort zone and you go to other cultures or other type of music that might play music that is sonically appeasing, whatever. You might not know everything, but it's feel good. I thought they did a great job giving really feel good music, and the vibes were there. And I think
it was a cool show, man. It was well produced, everything else like that. But the thing is that Bad Bunny, from what I see, appears to be a lyricist. He's not like a singer or harmonizer where just...
No, hold on.
But Bad Bunny, is he just singing, repeating a phrase over and over again and just singing melodies? I feel like there's actual lyrics and meaning behind his songs. His songs are very dense.
Oh, no. You're right. But
his songs seem very dense lyrics-wise. Right, so clearly he has something to say, and there's clearly messages he's trying to portray in his music and try to get along to the actual listener.
Like this.
My thing is that I missed all of that. Even if I look up what the meanings are or the translations, it's not the same in terms of the nuances of someone actually singing and so forth. So people who listen to Kendrick Lamar at least can hear what he has to say.
Yeah, but nobody
people watching Bad Bunny have no idea outside of the vibes. That's it, man. And that's the point. I'm a serious music person, man. The DJ, my name is not just for show.
I get it, but you're also you're with a hip hop mind to say lyricism. A lot of times it's the melody. It's what drives the song. Like for example, first of all, I've dated hella Latinas. I love Latinas. I love my black women too. But still, I understand a decent amount of Spanish. I took some Spanish in high school, but when I hear the Monaco song, I know the beat and I know the general melody, and I turn up to that song without knowing the lyrics or is verbatim or what they mean. That happens a lot, right? Again, I only know Titi Me Pregunto because he says it when the song starts. But do I know every word? It's a feel good type of thing. And the thought that you're saying that have you been to the Super Bowl? I'm pretty sure you have, right?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I've been to the Super Bowl, and I watched Usher. And the experience in the stadium, you see how many people that, number one, first of all, I remember when I went, Well, I had tickets this year. I gave it to my brother, whatever. These are $40,000 tickets, and $40,000 a pop, right? Yo, these people don't know these songs. You get what I'm saying? Like, I had an amazing time watching Usher, and I'm watching him like do all this amazing stuff, and I think it plays better on TV as it does in a stadium because I'm sitting next to some white guy who's a hillbilly who got money because, I don't know, like his parents are from like Nashville that own some product that I don't know about, and they're just standing there like, what the fuck is Usher? They don't even know what it is. So the idea that you appease everybody and just because they could understand it, they like it. No, they stand there and they look at it and they're like, what the heck is this? That's why when I think Kai Cenat said he went to the Super Bowl and that nobody was going crazy for Kendrick shit, I agree. If it was at Summer Jam, they probably would, but it's a Super Bowl. Yo, when I went to the Super Bowl, I remember, listen, and think about how much, I'm thinking I'm going to see all these rappers. That nigga, I brought all type of security saying, yo, we might have to rumble in this bitch. There was all white people. There ain't no niggas there. And when you seen them bum-ass niggas, they were dolly because it cost so much. The idea is this. The idea is this, Vlad. There is not like an abundance of cultural people at these events that they need to please. It's usually everybody's never going to be happy. If you play Taylor Swift, there's going to be someone who's saying, why isn't it not real rock and roll? Or why is it not real country?
I get it, man. I get all this, right? But at the end of the day, there's language. That's it. All I'm saying is in a language that the core audience, and I looked it up, 70% of the NFL Super Bowl audience is based in America. Only 30% is based outside, and that's scattered with a whole bunch of different countries, right? Some, mostly in England and Australia, I'm sure, English-speaking countries. But yeah, people aren't watching the Super Bowl outside of the U.S. the way they are here. And in America, 85% of the population doesn't speak Spanish. So that's all I'm saying.
I want to hook you up with an interview. I want to hook you up with an interview that you could get a little bit more insight. I'll give you an example. I remember one of the highest viewed episodes that I did on Off the Record. I had to deal with Spotify at the time. We used to do like these weekly meetings, and they're definitely numbers focused, as any company who's giving you millions would be. And one of the interviews, like I remember doing the Whack 100 6ix9ine thing. We knew that was going to blow it out the park. There was a few other ones we know I was going crazy. And one of the ones that was really sneakily, surprisingly really popular was when I sat down with Anwell. Because, I don't think there was many conversations that bled into the hip-hop culture that I kind of I'm surveying and reporting on. But the numbers were so ridiculous. I say that to you.
Who's the artist?
Anwell. And I say
Anwell. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll do Anwell.
And I say that to you because I think that you're, again, I'm with you. I don't think that was not for you in particular. Like, there was clubs sold out near where I was watching it at that literally was a viewing party for just that. There's a massive Hispanic audience, especially in the Northeast Coast, that's just them. I would love for you to sit down with J Balvin and I
would love to, man.
Of course, Bad Bunny, but I don't know if he would do it.
Listen, I sat down with...
Even some of the Dominican artists.
When I interviewed Tekashi, isn't Tekashi a Spanish artist?
Yeah, but he's Mexican. And that would go into that's a little bit different. The diaspora that comes from Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico, again, number one, it's a territory of the United States.
Yeah.
They kind of rule the entire Latin, ecosphere, but then it's the DR. And, shout out to all the Mexican artists, like, for example, Tekashi and, for example, Peso Pluma. And what's my guy who was just on tour? Oh, my God. What am I forgetting his name? He was just on tour with Youngboy.
You're locked in with Waking Up TV.
Oh, yeah. From Texas.
Yes, that's my guy.
D-Baby.
D-Baby. Yeah.
So we're supposed to actually do an interview, man. Shout out to D-Baby.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Like, these guys are amazing. But when you get down there into the weeds of, that Puerto Rican, Dominican culture and their music, you'll realize that it's not on them to kind of make the Russian Jewish guy who grew up in hip hop understand what they got going on. It's a little bit on you to kind of figure out why so many people give a fuck about what they're doing. And I had to do that. I think a lot of people eventually will have to do that because here's the thing. Latin artists are completely smothering and killing U.S. hip hop artists in numbers, metrics, by everything conceivable. Right? It's a reason why Bad Bunny had 30. He did 30 dates. He did a residency in Puerto Rico. You know what it did? It brought $750 million in GDP to Puerto Rico. He forced people, the only way you could see him is to go to the country, spend money on hotels, go to a show. These guys, they can't even do it. Yo, half of these hip-hop guys can't even do nothing. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, you have to realize that, hey, just money-wise, market-wise, numbers-wise, it makes sense. And I watched it, and it was a lot of vibes, man. Them Latinas were shaking that ass, man. I can't lie to you, Vlad. I can't lie to you, bro. I got to bring you to the strip club. Vlad, we're going to, hey, there's a Spanish strip club up here. I'm bringing you, Vlad. It's going to be a great time.
I'm down. Let's do
and
it, man.
I'm going to tell them to play all Bad Bunny through the whole time, but they're going to have a whole lot of Latin ass shaking, and I'm going to watch if you're not having a whole lot of fun.
It's all good, man. Listen, we've been on for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You want me to interview next time? I think this is
Glad it hit me, man.
I think I've done your platform at this point. You know what I mean? I think this qualifies as that. My kids is looking at me like, Dad, when you gonna come back?
It's all good, man. Yo, spend some time with the family, yo. Send my love to them. Thank you for coming on here, and you're my brother.
All good.
Appreciate you.
All right, man. Peace.
Text me.
Yep.